I'm Curt Frye. It's about to be election season in the United States, and no, that doesn't really set this part of the calendar apart from any other. It seems like people are always campaigning. But when the votes are being counted, it's interesting to think about how many votes of the remaining votes that a candidate needs to win their election. And in this movie, I will show you the formula for calculating that. The sample file that I'm using is named catchup.xlsx, and that is an Excel workbook that you can download using the link that I provide in the video description below. There are 3 bits of information that you need to know. The first is the number of votes that each candidate has. In this case, we'll just do 2. So I have 25,000 votes currently in the bank for candidate 1, 18,000 for candidate 2, and there are 40,000 remaining. So the question is, what percentage of the votes does each candidate need from the remaining votes to win the election, and what is the number corresponding to that percentage? So let's do those calculations. I'll click in cell C5. So candidate 1 is currently ahead, so they should need less than 50% of the remaining votes to win. So let's see what the result is. In C5, I will type equal, and we're going to, I need to add a left parentheses. We're going to start with the number of votes for candidate 2. Then we'll subtract the votes that have already been cast for candidate 1, because that's the one we're evaluating. So we start with the other candidate, then the one we're evaluating, and we will add the number of votes that are remaining. So that's in C4. So number of votes your opponent has minus the number of votes that you have plus the number of votes remaining. Then a right parentheses. And we will divide that by 2 times the number of votes remaining. So / for division 2 times C4, the number of votes remaining. Right parentheses and enter. And we get 41.25%, or 0.4125. And that makes sense. Candidate 1 is ahead, so they need less than half of the remaining votes. Now we can do the same thing for candidate 2, and because we're looking at candidate 2, we'll start with candidate 1. So in C6, it'll be equal, left parentheses, then it is the number of votes cast for the opponent, minus the number of votes cast for you. So C2 minus C3, plus the number of votes remaining in C4. And we will divide that by 2 times the number of votes remaining. And enter. And we get 58.75%, or 0.5875. And it's important to note that these 2 numbers add up to 1. And I can do a quick calculation on the status bar. So I've selected those 2 cells, and I see that the average is 0.5, and the sum is 1. So that works out perfectly. And from here, we can calculate the number of raw votes that are required for each of the candidates. And that's just multiplying the percentage required by the number remaining. So in C7 for candidate 1, I'll do equal. That will be C5 times C4. Don't need a parentheses, enter. So 16,500, then equal. And candidate 2 would need C6 times C4, enter. So they would need 23,500 of the remaining votes to win the election. And actually, it's to tie the election. So I will add 1 to each of the calculations. You might not need to add the 1 if you have an odd number of voters, but in this case, I added in just for a margin of safety. But the numbers 16,500 or 23,500 are certainly good enough just for you to estimate what each candidate would need to win the election. I hope this is useful. It's an interesting formula, and I was quite delighted when I found out that it existed. I didn't know about it until about a year ago. I hope you enjoyed this video sharing it with you. If you did, please like it and subscribe to my channel.